Getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting and the Liberty Belle League. For round 5 of 6 in this championship, things have been getting bigger and faster this entire season, and we meet ourselves at round 5 here at the Tsukuba circuit for 12 corners, 1.2 miles of tight, technical, busy fun. With DJ Alessandrini at my side, I'm Tom O'Gorman, and DJ, we have the biggest field of the Liberty Belle season so far. 14 drivers entered tonight at what is basically the smallest track we visit. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you say things are getting bigger and better, but Tsukuba is basically a go-kart track it's like a full-grown go-kart track. That's what Tsukuba is. You know, they still use this track. This is like the mecca of time attack in Japan. For whatever reason, they have all those amazing racetracks in Japan, but this is like the time attack track in that country for whatever reason.
Well, it must be fun. I mean, this is a track that I can lose myself into lapping, and the other fun part is you do the lap in just about a minute. So just like Lime Rock, where we started off this season, it ends up being a lot of laps in the race and also a lot of action, a lot of times to repeat and get into a good rhythm. We jump into qualifying already. Each driver is going to have 3 laps with the track to themselves. All drivers are qualifying simultaneously, but we have a 12-minute window, so you can pick and choose a little bit when you want to run, especially with laps this short. And we jump right on board with the number 6, who's been really dominant in the second half of the season. Ginger Ayers popped up and has gotten a couple wins, but with this field being a little bit bigger, we also have some new names I want to hit on right out of the gate. Embriette Hyde in the number 93 is a new name for us. Kimberly Armand is a new name for us in the number 14, and Carrie Anderson, who had a busy day today, actually joined us in a 3-hour endurance race from about noon to 4 p.m. Is in this race as well in the number 78. So they've had a very busy day, as have we. But with those 3 laps on the board, drivers completing their first time, we're going to get a really good look at what qualifying is going to shape out to be. Take a look at the bottom of the screen as we wait for Ginger Ayers to trip the lights for the first time. You see 4 colored boxes underneath each driver's name. That's the sector times. Purple means it's the fastest of the entire session. Green means a personal best. Yellow means the sector was completed, but nothing else of note. And with that, I think Ginger Ayers is going to lay down the benchmark, going almost as quick as she did in practice with a 101.3.
Yeah, that's actually a really good time. I actually did some coaching on this track earlier this week, Tom, and a 101.3 is that's right up there with all the times. So that is a stellar time from Ginger. So I'd be curious who's going to be able to go after that. You know, Tsukuba, it's a very small racetrack, but it's actually pretty technical. There's a lot of little nuances everywhere, just soaked into this racetrack. That might be one of the reasons why it's such a fan favorite in Japan.
It's also a great way to just get in, like I mentioned, the rhythm and get a lot of practice in. Now jumping just above Michelle Lynn's car. She sits second provisionally on the grid right now at a 101.7, so half a second back. But you see, I'd rather be in a Formula V. She has raced Formula Vs in real life and still continues to race them often in the sim. I don't know that she loves having that roof over her head, but she's making good use of it, at least telling us what she'd rather be doing. She continues to sit second, but oh no, she did. You're right. Just jumped up to first by 0.06 tenths of a second.
So yeah, all right, the fight is on here with Michelle Lynn taking the lead from Ginger. And in third place, we have Tamara, followed by Paula Wojcik. And Amy Husil just got popped down to 6 as Audrey Tan jumps into 4th, knocking Paula down 1 spot.
Things were very tight in practice, and with a track this short, it is common for times to be pretty much on top of each other. Michelle Lynn was the quickest in practice, Tamara Kristinek was 2nd, and Ginger Ayers 3rd. Paula Wojcik was 4th. So a lot of the same names at the top of practice as you'd expect, but Kristinek with a nice improvement, now only 2 tenths back, sitting in the 3rd position provisionally over Audrey Tan. That'll put her on the 2nd row, which might be a pretty good spot to be. We often joke that 3rd might be the 2nd best qualifying position here in iRacing, just because the rolling starts tend to end up with that 3rd place driver getting an equally good start to the pole sitter.
Yeah, definitely. The qualifying in this race might be a little bit more important than it has been in the previous rounds, because Tsukuba, because it is such a small track, the passing opportunities are a little tough.
Once you get side by side, you tend to end up there, so that can be the one thing that kind of pulls the pin on the grenade here at Tsukuba. But I do totally agree that it can be really difficult to find a place to make a pass, as often the shortest line is the fastest one here. Not a lot of improvements as we look at the sector times through the second half of this qualifying session. Not uncommon with these tires being pretty good out of the gate. Lap 1 and 2 tend to be the fastest. Most drivers will be completing their 3rd lap with still over half of the session to run. So we're going to have a lot of time to talk about what that race is going to look like as drivers continue to finish up their third and final laps. Paula Wojcik is on a couple of improved sectors for herself. Kimberly Armand as well, who sits in the third and final position in the grid. There is a 14th car in the server, but I'm not sure, maybe Carrie Anderson taking her time or just taking part in practice and has moved on for her night.
I'm trying to see if there's that car is currently running. It does not appear to be running, so we're gonna cosplay a little bit here, Tom, and we're gonna say that they were having some technical difficulties with the car.
Yes, yeah. Team didn't get it ready for him.
Yeah,
Paula Wojcik reporting back to the pit lane, and look at the margin between Wojcik and Tan, 102.079 to a 102.080 up there in the left corner. Sarah Brunner and Amy House-Seal were nearly on top of each other. Let's throw in Audra Parody as well. Look at that, 202.22, 23, and 29, as those margins are basically nothing. Oh, excuse me, Parody is on a separate second, 3.2. But once we get into the race, I think this race is going to be a little interesting. We've been at some fast tracks. We've been at some drafty tracks in the last couple of weeks, both with the MX-5 for the first half of the season and with the GR86 for the second half of this season. But I don't think drafting is going to take much part here. I think it's just going to be kind of raw hustle and being precise and getting in that rhythm with this technical little track.
Yeah, it might be a little bit exhausting, though. You said earlier that that somebody that was participating in Lizard Brain's 3-hour race is also in here. Who is that?
Well, that was Carrie Anderson, who we haven't seen on track yet. So that driver did join the server. Okay. All that means is that they popped into the server. We'll wait and see if they drive.
Carrie's probably doing what I did after that race, which was take a nap. So
yeah, exactly.
That's where I ended up.
Great day of sim racing as the winter season winds down, and that brings us towards the end of qualifying. This is the 5th of 6 rounds for the Liberty Belle League, which is an all-women's inclusive series. Encouraged to get some newer drivers and drivers of all walks of life to race together, practice their driving. Most of these drivers, if not all, do racing in the real life of various types. We have endurance racers, we have autocrossers, we have drivers, as I mentioned, who have raced Formula cars in the real world. And it's been fun to see this series grow from just under 10 drivers up to 13 and 14, with a lot of practice sessions, a lot of community built into what these drivers are all doing here. And as we come towards the end of the season, which is going to end next month at the, well, one of your favorites, actually, we pull up the schedule, but I believe we're headed to Olton Park, if that's
I love
correct.
Josh, if we could we go to the camera that was in the stands for turn 4? I'm sorry, we're getting a little off topic here, but quality's basically over, so I think. All right, so at some point we're gonna go back.
Yeah, tell me what you're looking for.
There's a person in the crowd wearing an iRacing like tank top that I absolutely need.
You need it?
I need it. If we could get the crowd cam going.
So a couple more minutes left in qualifying here as we wind down qualifying. Looking towards the race, we'll talk about those for a split second. We have 2 races coming at you tonight, 10 minutes or 12 laps each, whichever comes first, which I think in this race will be the 10-minute mark. And then we're going to invert the entire grid and run it again, another 10-minute race or 12 laps, whichever comes first. So even if you have success in the first race, we've seen that really actually become a huge challenge in the second race when we invert the field. Coming from the back, staying clean, and avoiding incidents has been the biggest challenge with that. With that said, that's been getting much cleaner and cleaner as the weekends have run on, and we've actually seen that second race be really, really fun to watch all the way through.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, all the drivers in the series have just really stepped up their and you know what it was? You can see them getting pulled into this sim racing thing. And as a avid sim racing fan, I just love to see it. I just love watching people get pulled into the thing that I love so dearly.
Couldn't agree more. So Michelle Lynn will roll off so far. She's still got the fastest time. It looks like everybody's basically done here. And it did find the schedule. It looks like Olton Park for March 15th, or at least March 15th at 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m. will be our final round. Looking at the championship for a second, it's currently a driver that actually hasn't, if I did my research correctly, hasn't won a race all season, but Paula Wojcik is currently scored as the points leader for the season over Fan Shen, who is once again missing from our grid, but was one of the early dominant drivers. She won 3 races across the first 3 weekends, of course, with two races per week. So she sits in the second position, but has been MIA for 2 rounds now. It's certainly going to tumble down the points order. Audrey Parody, Audrey Tan, and Tamara Krasinik round out the top 5 in the season points. Paula Wojcik is going to be really fun to watch these last 4 races, these last 2 rounds, because she's just been so consistent. And as she's gotten quicker, she has less work to do from the practice, from the qualifying into the race. Look at they're there in 5th, but just being so consistent, always a clean racer, and it's netted her a ton of points.
I could see the producer trying to find that tank top for me, Josh. I appreciate it.
Was it yellow? Is that the one you're talking about?
No, it was iRacing. It had the iRacing emblem on it, but the way that it was wrapped, like the texture was wrapped around the shirt, like it obviously they had the intern do it. Yeah, the mouse is on the. That's definitely the tank top. You can tell they had the intern do the texture because it's not like wrapped properly, but I think it looks cool.
You should submit a report. Have our friend Kevin take a look at it.
No, I don't want the fix. I just want the shirt. Actually, I want to buy it from iRacing. Maybe we'll make it, Tom.
Maybe, yeah. There we go. I'll make it. So looking into the race, we've got 20 seconds for qualifying, and then a 2-minute gridding process for a rolling start, which will likely be an entire outlap, which still means we have a little bit of time before the first race green flag drops. But racing this track, I mean, if you're starting on the outside, Ginger Ayers, Audrey Tan, Sarah Brunner, that's going to be your first 3 rows on the outside. You're coming to a hairpin to which you have to go the long way around. What are some strategies? I mean, this is just going to be a really tough start for, I think, the drivers on the outside.
Yeah, but if you're able to keep it around the outside, then you definitely have an advantage going into turn 4. Turn 2 and 3 are just like the little squiggly bits. But the inside of turn 4, which is where that tank top is it's heavily on cambered, so it benefits being on the inside of that corner by a lot. So if any of these drivers on the outside can keep a nose out where the inside driver can't track out, they will have some kind of move to be made along the inside of turn 4. So we'll have to see how that plays out. I think it's a very short outlap here. This is basically starting just before pit entry, and then the race will kick off. Now, we didn't talk a lot about Tsukuba, Tom, but all the corners here are pretty straightforward. I think the trickiest corner is the last corner, because it feels like you can never get on power, and you always get on power too early. You always run out of racetrack on exit.
Yeah, the longest corner on the track, the fastest corner on the track, as far as entry speed anyway. You come in, it rewards a lot of entry speed, but then you're right, you have to be so patient and keep the car twisting through the corner. GR86 you're going to be able to get on the throttle really, really early through there, but keeping the car rotating when you get on throttle is the big challenge. That's going to be the first corner that we see as they leave the grid. You saw the starting grid side by side. Ginger Ayers will start to the outside of Michelle Lynn on the front row, and then on back through the entire colorful field. I love the liveries in this series as well. It's going to be a very short outlap, so as soon as you see them start to roll, we're about 30 seconds from the green flag for 10 minutes of racing.
Yeah, and we're about to get started here. Man, I like the variety of colors down the left side for sure. There is a rainbow-looking car along the right side. I forget who's in the rainbow car. Can you remind me, Tom?
Yeah, I think that's Audrey Parody in the 23 car, and we mentioned she's up in 3rd, I think, for the season championship, but is starting well down in the field in the 8th position, alongside just to the outside of Amy Hausiel, who's in the light blue. You're right. The drivers down the inside lane, they look like they're all going to the same party. They're in the same color palette. They must have all called each other. Rolling towards the green, the pace car jumping immediately off the track. Don't even really need it. We're going to go immediately towards setting the pace for Michelle Lynn. And technically, she can start to go at any point effectively right now as the green flag comes out very early here at Tsukuba. The brake light's still on Ginger Ayers' car as the green flag comes out. Paula Wojcik, it's an excellent run in that whale livery car up the inside. It's going to be 2x2. Whoa, a little bit deep up the outside for Audrey Tan. She keeps it out of the back of Ginger Ayers, but that's going to give that left side, even more work to do for the rest of this race. Tamara Kristinik's going to slot into third. She's in the light blue and dark blue camo colored car here with the orange stripes. As things settle out, single file parity takes a look to the inside, and the Hot Wheels car gets a huge run through the bowl at turn number 4.
Yeah, and a good start here from Ginger, making sure they stay clean. Michelle gets a good launch, so currently leading, and it looks like Audrey's just under attack. A very interesting, like, slingshot line around the outside here. Leaves the door open a little bit on the inside. We got a drag race down to that final corner on the racetrack.
Yeah, I think that started as a mistake, but it really didn't work too badly. You can really hang the outside with that big amount of camber relative to the radius of the corner. And Wojcik gets a really killer run down the back straight, keeps the position, sets her sights forward. She's up 1 position so far, but has a lot of pressure from Sarah Brunner in that kind of sunset gradient liveried car. Looks to the outside. What is that on the hood? Some sort of... I don't even... I'll ask her later. As she now has to set her sights on Paula Wojcik, who... I mean, every position she gets is just more points.
Yeah, Tom's brushing it off, but that's absolutely Tom McGorman on the hood of that car.
Oh my! I forgot I have that. I forgot I have that shirt.
All right.
And
so,
my arms are that big too.
Yep, definitely. Very not a caricature at all. That was basically a portrait. Yeah. So
Ginger Ayers. So go ahead, DJ. Excuse me.
Yeah, Michelle doing a great job on the race start here. Like I said, it's going to be very, very tough to pass. So if Michelle just keeps placing the car where she kind of needs to place the car, it's going to be a very, very tough task for Ginger to get by.
I usually find here at Tsukuba you have to get a little bit racy, even if you don't really mean it. You have to show them that you're willing to throw a move on them and try to kind of move them out of their rhythm, move them offline without actually hitting them. And that tends to work, but part of that is you need to have a little bit more pace on the car in front of you. These two look so evenly matched now. As Wojcik has quickly run down Audrey Tan. This is the battle for 4th. Tan in the purple, Wojcik in the blue with white dots. I think Wojcik a little quicker as Tan slipped up in turn 1 in the Team Skittles car. She gets a good run out of turn 4 though, and Amy Hauseal has to watch it all unfold, watching these 3 battle it out for just off the podium.
Yeah, I mean, we have a great little gaggle here of for 4th place. They're really all really close to each other. You know, running into the 3rd lap here in the race. So, and Audrey, you know, she's got to be feeling the pressure here.
It's going to be one of the most laps we complete in any single race this season, but I think that means, again, you get into that really nice rhythm. Wojcik carries the entry speed, cuts the distance down into turn number 1, but this is going to end up being a faster exit, I think, for Tan as she tracks it out all the way to the edge. It's a big rotation there on the entry, though, huh?
Yeah, I thought for sure it was going the other way around. I never saw any kind of countersteer, so Audrey just had a great float on the entry of that corner and carried the speed beautifully. And now she has the biggest gap that she's had for the entire race now, just stretching it over 1 second.
A little further back, the battle for 9th. This is Melanie Kwong in the blue Hot Wheels car. We're riding on board with Embriette Hyde, new driver for this round in particular, the number 93. Looking nice and smooth, and she's got pressure just behind for Cynthia Clark. You see the live gaps, 7/10, 6/10, 3/10 just behind. There's the chrome and blue of Clark. Gwendolyn Hosier's not completely out of this conversation either if they start to go side by side, but I gotta say Embriette met the bar coming in with this livery, the purple with pink and flames. Ginger Ayers keeping the pressure on Michelle Lynn. Michelle Lynn has been unflappable so far, and undoubtedly these cars go side by side. Tamara Kristinik is going to pounce.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Tamara's keeping it there. Tamara was about a second back, and now she's only 6/7 so Tamara probably the fastest last lap around. I do have access to that information, so hold on, I'm gonna check and see if that was the case. Yeah,
oh, here we go, side by side. Hold on as you pull that up. Paula Wojcik going for the move up the inside of Audrey Tan. She makes it work. Tan was going for the over-under, but then Wojcik predicted it perfectly, put herself in the position to take over 4th spot. A couple more points to the championship for your leader. And you found these lap times, huh?
Okay, so this is when Paula was putting on the pressure, and so now it's the end result. And this is what happens when you have the pressure being put on. Paula just being relentless out here, and Audrey just showing a little bit of human. It's a great race in between those two, and here's another replay where Audrey gathers it up, keeps the thing shiny at least.
Does a nice job to embrace the race and not chop back across the track to try to protect. That's the great part about racing with leagues. This also has an incident review at the end, not so much for accountability, but for education. You can go through and kind of see what happened. Well, the 93 goes around our newer driver. No, this, excuse me, is parody in the number 23. Is it? No, it's Sarah Brunner, sorry. 87. I'm losing track of all my pink and purple cars. Got to be honest a little bit there as Brunner tags the wall. I think a little bit of damage to the right front of that. The silver lining, though, if you don't finish this race, you end up basically on pole for the next race. Here we go, side by side for the lead.
Ooh, yep, so we're side by side. Tamara's lurking in the background here. A little bit of a pinch down to the inside, but I'm thinking Ginger has the upper hand here. We'll see if Michelle can hold the outside. It'd be really tough to do through here. Maybe a little bit of an over-under as Michelle, I think she's going to have overlap, at least on the inside going into turn 1 here.
Gonna have to be brave. Kristinek trying to open up the entry to the corner as much as possible to pounce on any opportunity that may present itself. Michelle Lynn, though, drops to second position. Ginger Ayers is your new leader in the light blue and dark blue. Coming straight at us, turn 4. We are past halfway, 6.5 minutes out of 10 done. And I think, excuse me, yeah, so go ahead, DJ.
I was gonna say the heart rates on the top 3 right now have to be elevated, so it's going to be important to remember to breathe and keep oxygen flowing in the body so the mistakes don't come after, getting an adrenaline shock like that. Before
this battle started, Kristinek was the quickest of these 3 cars. She had continued to lap in the 101.4s. The other drivers had slipped into the 101.5, 6s, and 7s. And of course, there was a little bit of battling, but that time when they actually went side by side, they immediately dropped to the 102s nearly as they had to navigate each other and the track. Coming through at 7 minutes. We're going to have a couple more laps, call it maybe 3 tops. Ginger Ayers looks to have found the rhythm the best of these 3 drivers, though, as she started to pull a couple of car lengths away from Michelle Lynn until the braking zone compresses them back down.
Yeah, and Michelle's keeping Ginger honest here. Replay.
All right, so Amy Hauseal got a little bit late into the corner, maybe woke Sarah Brunner for a second. I don't think that was completely relevant, though, as she tries to get on throttle early and ends up just losing the back end. A big smush to the right front of that car. And the meatball flag, unfortunately, will end her first race tonight. But I mentioned that invert. This is really not the end of her night. She can still have a lot more fun and even find some success. Number 93 of Embriette Hyde continuing to keep the pressure on Melanie Kwong. These 3 have had a great little race. This is the kind of race where you're just kind of focused on doing your best lap times as well as trying to catch the person in front of you. When you're not doing a ton of side-by-side, you're focused on both, and that can be a lot of fun, but it can also be really stressful. A little bit deep into the final hairpin for the number 12. The camber kind of catches her, but Kwong is going to get a poor run onto the back straight, which opens the door up for Embriette Hyde. She's going to show the nose all the way down the back straightaway just in case Melanie Kwong lets her have the line on the entry, which you can make work. If you go in shallow, it's possible, gets it a little bit wrong and has to bail out.
Oh man, I always get a little nervous when I see 2 cars entering a corner at like radically different angles, because that's normally when you have cars come together. But yeah, good job on the drivers there, making the adjustments necessary to not have that end in tragedy. Oh, we're looking for the iRacing shirt right now, I see.
I was going to ask what you thought of all these shirts.
Yeah, I don't see the shirt. That guy must have left. I don't know. He was a little bit more to the left. Different crowd. Oh my God, iRacing no extra. I don't. That's so out of control.
Coming to the white flag, Ginger Ayers, Michelle Lynn, Tamara Kristinek, all nose to tail, but they've separated pretty significantly, about a second gap between each one. So each one's just trying to put in the best, cleanest lap they can at this point to hold position. Ayers would become, at this point, I believe, a 4th-time winner. She won both races last time, the first driver to do so at VIR, race 1 and race 2. She also won race 1 at Okayama. Ooh, another moment between the number 93 and Melanie Kwong in really, really deep. Had the same thing happen 2 laps in a row, but was way more committed that time and almost had contact.
Yeah, it's I don't think this is over. I think this is going to continue for the rest of this, for all 52 seconds left in this race for these drivers right now.
Probably the next 10 too.
Yeah.
Cynthia Clark hasn't been able to find a way to capitalize on any of it, though. She's in the black and chrome blue. I absolutely love that color. They have pulled away just ever so slightly from Cynthia Clark. or excuse me, from Gwendolyn Holzer, who's in the pink car towards the back of the shot. She sits in the 10th position ahead, 11th position ahead of Kimberly Armand and Sarah Brunner, who was out. But the checkered flag, speaking of out, it flies in the air. Ginger Ayers takes her 4th win of the season. 2nd place for Michelle Lynn. A great battle between those two. Tamara Kristinik was in the conversation the whole time, but couldn't find anywhere to go with it. She comes home in 3rd. Paula Wojcik holds on for 4th. Another great race for one of our most consistent drivers, Audrey Tan. Amy Hausil coming through 5th and 6th. And then Audra Parody, who looks like she ended up a little bit lonely, but probably happy with that 7th place. And then this battle that we finished watching at the beginning of this lap, a great finish for Melody Kwong, Henriette Hyde, and Cynthia Clark to round out the top 10. These drivers are all going to start very much near the front or at the front for the next race as the mandatory post-race iRacing crashing begins.
It's almost mandatory. I'm trying to figure out what the invert is. It's invert all, Tom, so it's going to be so yeah, it's Carrie not being in the server is gonna play a little bit of havoc in it, I believe, and then so Sarah Brunner and Kimberly Armand will be on the front row here.
The other thing I missed, I remember now as it pops up in front of me, that we've actually switched race 2 to a 20-minute race starting at the last round. So we're doubling the length of time, which kind of gives you more time to settle in, but it also gives more time for the race to ebb and flow. Holding on to 10 laps it's not the same as holding on to 20 laps. It's not even half as easy. It's exponentially different because as your bandwidth builds up and builds up, as we talked last week, those last 5 minutes are so much more difficult than the first 5. Moving towards the race number 2, we're gonna have a 5-minute warm-up warm-up session. This is not scored for any particular reason, just a little bit of extra practice or potentially a snack break, potty break, whatever you need. DJ, next week we also have another race coming up for the Liberty Belle League, and it's a little bit different. It's called the Buddy Cup. Next Sunday at 8 p.m., February 22nd, the practice opens at 7 p.m., and it's going to be the Volkswagen Beetle Rallycross car, the light version, so it's a little bit less power at this exact same track. And that's essentially teams of 2, if I'm understanding the name, or the point of the race. You can either have a 2-person team, either using the same rig or separate rigs. The car will have a fixed setup, the same amount of fuel as everybody else, and you have to do a driver change in the middle, or you can do it by yourself and you have to stop at that same point in the middle. But it's a good way. A lot of the drivers in this league are part of a couple that they don't necessarily get to sim race together because they might share the same rig or they might share the same PC, etc. So this is a great chance to not just blow off some steam and have some fun. It's a 40-lap race, so it's a pretty serious effort, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have some new drivers, some new names. That's going to be broadcast right here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. I'm going to take part. I'm not going to be talking. I'm going to be driving, and I think you're going to be off driving something in real life, but
Yeah,
we'll tell you how it goes.
I hold on. Can we go back to the pit lane, Josh? Because I see the tank top.
Oh my God.
This is the theme of the broadcast. All right, you see, there's 2 of them. They're like the closest people to us. That's the tank top I want. You see it?
It's like it just loaded into a default and they just left it. I see what you're talking about.
Yep.
They didn't even fit it to the box that they had to work with.
Yep, exactly. That's why I like it. So this Buddy Cup event sounds very similar to if you remember during COVID, there was like a couples iRacing league that a lot of the same people were part of that are part of this league. And me and my wife, we actually we practiced and orchestrated how to get in and out of the sim rig, because in a car you kind of have to get in and out on the same side, but in a sim rig you can get out on one side and in on the other side. So it was actually my wife would roll out the left of it as I would enter through the right of it, because the fuel change was so short that it was only like, I don't know, like 10 seconds of a pit stop. So 10 seconds after stopping, the car had to be rolling again. So we had to be really quick on the driver change.
Just making your wife like roll out of the sim rig and flop onto the ground so you can hop in the car.
Yep. I had fun. I don't know if she did. She's not here participating in this thing, so I'm gonna assume that she did not have fun.
Right. Maybe she'll race with me next week.
Maybe.
Probably not.
I'll try to talk her into it. I highly doubt it, but we can always be optimistic.
I'll make my puppy dog eyes. Here's a good
Yeah,
look at that final corner that you mentioned. You hop back on board with Gwendolyn Holzer, finishing 10th in the previous race. You see how many options for lines you have in. You just have to wait forever. I usually use those guys on the right, those bright orange people, as a reference for when I get on throttle, because you just have to wait that long. And it's hard to see with the wall at the inside too. You don't necessarily get a sight line to the exit, and then you kick off the lap with a absolutely slower than you'd ever want it to be hairpin, 43 miles an hour minimum speed, but it's nice and wide, so you can open the radius up and get on the throttle nice and early, kind of threading the needle through this. This is a couple of nothing corners until you're side by side, and then this gives you a great idea of the banking that every corner here at Tsukuba has, except for this corner, turn number 5, under the Dunlop Bridge, and the final corner.
Yeah, and this one's a little, that one's a little deceiving, because you actually do want to use all that track up on the left, because you have, especially with these cars, you have plenty of grip to make it through that left-hander, even being track left as you start into that corner. And you get to carry that speed from the previous right-hander all the way through down to that hairpin that Gwendolyn just drove out of. And then another look at this last corner. I typically aim for the end of the inside curb here. That's kind of what my reference is, to know that I can get on throttle and not run out of racetrack. But it's very tricky. You can't see it on the entry. You kind of just have to envision what the shape of it is as you're turning in, which is easier said than done.
Warm up done. Race 2 coming at us. Carrie Anderson, of course, did not take part in the race, so Sarah Brunner will start on pole for race number 2. 20 minutes is on the board. Kimberly Armand will start to her outside, or what maybe become the inside, actually. This could get interesting. Gwendolyn Holzer will start 3rd, Cynthia Clark 4th, Embriette Hyde 5th. Then Melanie Kwong in the 6th position. Audrey Parody and Amy Hausiel will start 6th and 7th and 8th. Audrey Tan 9th, Paula Wojcik 10th. Tamara Kristinik in the 11th position, and then bringing it up at the back of the grid this time around, Michelle Lynn, Ginger Ayers. Remember, we go green really, really quick here. The field very spread out. This might be a bit of a messy start as we come towards the green flag. It's already waving just about now. We're going racing for 20 more minutes. Whoa, look at this huge tidal wave of cars from the back. We're 6 wide. One car going wide off to the outside. Audrey Tan goes for a tank slap and unfortunately going to go head first into the wall. Another car around as the number 13 from Holzer dropping way down, and oh no, race 1's winner, Ginger Ayers, goes around. This race just became way more difficult for her.
Yeah, that was, and it all started from the start where everyone's spread out. It's a very short run to the green flag, so really it's the people on the front row that just kind of have to have like a steady pace and speed. If you catch yourself trying to catch the pace car, it gets messy very quickly, because you have like the accordion effect. It's like a rubber band. It's boing-yoinging back and forth as the green flag comes out. That always causes a bunch of chaos.
Well, it started as a nightmare for Ayers, but it's a dream for Michelle Lynn. She's already up to 2nd in that purple car, motoring past Kimberly Armand. It's also going very, very well. Look at the gap at the front of the field, 5.2 seconds for Sarah Brunner, who, while she was getting swallowed up just before the first corner, has absolutely scampered away. Paula Wojcik also picking up the position. She moves into 3rd. Tamara Kristinik trying to hunt up the inside, almost made it 3 wide, but thought better of it there in the blue. Now we go 3 wide into turn number 1. Good coordination between everybody there as Kimberly Armand is kind of holding her hands up and saying, okay, take it, here you go. And very fair enough, she slots back into single file.
Yeah, Sarah Brunner probably after that first corner was thinking that she had internet issues, because when she looked in the rearview mirror, she didn't see anybody there.
Where'd everybody go?
I swear I was in a race with a bunch of other people here.
This gap at the front of the field is coming down fast. Maybe not a huge surprise, as Sarah Brunner was not one of the fastest cars in race number 1, but she was quick enough and ended up just with that incident in the wall. The gap already cut nearly in half from 5-point-some seconds to 2.9 now. Michelle Lynn is absolutely on a tear, trying to offset the damage done to her points in the championship potentially in that first race. Now is a huge opportunity to capitalize. Whoa, Wojcik going wide. Kristinik's going to muscle her, give her the shoulder, and push her out just as she goes by.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about with when 2 cars have different angles on the entry of the corner. Sometimes it's a little tough to know exactly where each car is going to end up.
Here's a look at the start. Things go south very quickly, I think, just based on the back of the field coming through. And Audrey Tan is the only driver that really got caught out by the whole situation until Audrey Parody gets into the back. of the pink Gwendolyn Holzer. So the rainbow gradient car instigated a little bit more of that. The rest of it is just trying to maintain control of your own car as chaos unfolds around you. Amy House-Seal got caught up in it, as did one other car. I missed who was stopped in the middle of the pack, but I think it might have been, Embriette Hyde. There's airs going around after Gwendolyn Holzer got punted from behind. Bit of a clunk, so kind of an accordion effect here, and there was actually contact that's going to help Embriette Hyde go around as well with Melanie Kwong. Remember, these two were very, very close to blows in the first race. No harm, no foul, though this time a pit maneuver to start off race number 2.
Yeah, I don't think there was any damage there,
No.
fortunately, so they'll be able to continue on as Michelle Lynn has caught the back of Sarah Brunner here. Tom O'Gorman's on the hood of that car just trying to run away, but I don't know if you can be able to help her in that position, Tom.
I'm doing my best. You see how Michelle Lynn opens up the entry to turn number 4. Got a really good run through turn 5, which is probably, if not just a lift, maybe just a tiny tap of the brakes. Michelle Lynn down to the apex. Absolutely perfect on her marks, as that was really close for Sarah Brunner. An excellent embrace of the race, though. Left her some room, and now they're drag racing down the back straight.
Yeah, Michelle Lynn got an amazing exit out of that last hairpin, so she's going to have positive overlap and the inside coming into this corner. So Michelle Lynn just stacking up the advantages as she's about to start this 5th lap. Is that what we're starting here? Or? Yeah, 5th lap.
Only 4.5 minutes down, and it's been a busy one so far. Tamara Kristinek now becomes the next problem for Sarah Brunner. She's got to run defense on one of the other quickest drivers in the series consistently. Kristinek has not always been able to put together a perfectly executed race, in that there tends to be one mistake here or there, or one circumstantial incident here or there, versus relative to the car right behind her, Paula Wojcik, who has almost never found herself caught up in anything. And that's the difference in very similarly paced cars having totally different scores in the championship. Kristinek's going to try to open into the exact same gap that Michelle Lynn found. She goes in a little bit deep. Brunner with the over-under, and it's going to be a completely different drag race, but Kristinek got a really good run with that open radius at the exit.
Yeah, I think, yep, okay, I was going to say, it looks like she has enough overlap to hold on to that. So Sarah right now, if you're Sarah, I think you want to just kind of hang on to these bumpers, and probably, I think Sarah has good enough pace to hang on to 3rd at the moment. She's going to obviously have to put down her best laps, because series leader Paula Wojcik is right behind as Paula navigates turn 1 here.
Wojcik's going to need to put in some of the best laps of her night just to keep Ginger Ayers behind. I think Ayers in that dark and light blue car might be the next threat for all the cars directly in front of this driver, as they are one of, if not always, the quickest car lap by lap. Led practice. Won race 1. Excuse me, didn't lead practice. She was actually 3rd in practice.
Move here.
Another move up the inside on Wojcik.
Yep, that seems to be the popular spot, and it's because of the speed that they're carrying out of the right-hander a whole like 20 seconds before they even get to that hairpin. That just kind of, the run that you get out of that corner is leading into the possibility of that specific hairpin as Ginger moves into 4th here.
You have so much real estate on the second half of that corner. You can really drive it. It almost drives like an early apex corner because of the camber and because of the space you have in a low horsepower car like this. You're just trying to get on throttle as early as possible. And that tends to make it advantageous to just bowl it up the inside and try to make it work for the second half of the corner. Michelle Lynn continuing to lead the race. We're over a quarter of the way through, but not even halfway, 6.5 minutes down. Kristinek is looking quick. This gap has started to come down just a little bit, I would say, in the first half of this lap, right at that 1.3 second margin. Kristinek with a better exit. She's going to bring it down to 1.2 or so before they get on the brakes.
Yeah, I'm looking at lap times right now. Kristinek seems to be the fastest car on track with that 0.2. Oh. Michelle Lynn has a 0.4, and Ginger also has a 0.4, but Ginger's times look, even though she's passing cars, Ginger does seem to have the most consistent lap time. So that's the progress that she's making on these cars as Ginger jumps into 3rd place, and the chase is on.
Chase is absolutely on. Now we're getting back into that hot lap mode where you just got to put in some of your best laps. Sarah Brunner with a little bit of a slip in that final hairpin, and Ayers got a really, really big run on her all the way down that back straightaway and was able to easily make the pass in the final corner. Now Paula Wojcik sets her sights on the back of Brunner, who has run a very, very nice race. She's done a great job of anticipating where cars are going to be. She's been racy, but not egregiously so. Held her position very nicely from the pole of this race after the invert. Racing for 4th and 5th right now.
Yeah, nice recovery drive from some of the mistakes that we saw in race 1. So race 2 so far has been good redemption. We have 12 minutes to go here in this race as Paula Wojcik, again, your series leader. Consistency is the key here. I love that Paula's the leader right now. I don't know why I'm enjoying that so much, but yeah, so Paula's hoping to gain another spot here on Sarah, but Sarah's not making it easier for her.
Audra Parody lurking in the background in that gradient rainbow holographic car. And it is a chasm back to the next car. Where has the rest of the field gone? Kimberly Armand is the next car there in that's the base livery, which actually stands out for once on this grid full of custom paint jobs. And she's got a lot of pressure from Melanie Kwong, and Embriette Hyde. And I guess these are essentially all the cars that got it wrong in turn 1 or were caught up in it at least. They're on their recovery drive back.
Yeah, and Embriette and Melanie Kwong are still not separated from each other, so we're going to see another scrappy battle here as time goes on, as Kimberly Armand is under attack from Melanie Kwong. She just gives it up. Oh, a bunch of awkwardness here.
Yeah, she ends up in the middle of the track, which kind of caught, I think, Embriette Hyde off guard just a little bit. By the way, Embriette Hyde, top-tier race car driver name. Looking up the inside, she's going to show the headlight. They almost seem to lose track of each other in the middle of the corner, but it turns into a drag race on exit. The 93 picks up one more spot. That is for 8th position in the overall field.
Yeah, and in the meantime, if you look at the timing on the left, Melanie Kwong, just with some of the awkwardness, has opened up a 2-second gap on Embriette Hyde. So it'll be up to Embriette to try to close down on this gap, and it's up to Melanie to make that job as difficult as possible.
Gap between the top 2 still only 0.7 of a second. This is much closer than the last time we saw it, and that's because that's not the leaders. This is for Paula Wojcik and Sarah Brunner. This is the leaders. Tamara Kristinek is there.
Yeah, she's definitely putting the pressure on, and Ginger's really not making the progress. If you look at the last couple lap times, Ginger's still sitting about 3 seconds back. So if these two drivers, if Tamara can get this done quickly, it really doesn't give that much track real estate to Ginger. But if this fight extends and they hold each other up, as we see a bumper dragging on the ground from Gwendolyn, whatever plastic fasteners are holding this bumper on are made of magic. Oh no! Oh, that's okay. The producer got me. I got bamboozled.
That bumper did hang on for a good long time as Holzer, we saw her dive to the pit lane just this time. That was 10 minutes ago. Uses her fast repair. The car is perfect. I wish that's how it worked in real life. Sometimes. And yes, right. Make racing so much better. She is able to race for the last, call it 9.5 minutes and have her fun. Now, here comes the problem with Tsukuba for 2 different drivers. Tamara Kristinek, how do you create the opportunity to pass if you have a little bit more pace? But the bigger issue, I think, is Ginger Ayers. At this point, she's only 3.3 seconds back. She could put in the fastest second half of this race that anybody could ever put together, and I still don't know that she would get much closer, just because there's not a lot of opportunity for once you're kind of running the lap times at this track. There's not somewhere magic because it's just so similar for everybody. Other tracks, we might see a couple tenths spread from the closest drivers. Here, we're talking hundreds and thousands. For the most part, Kristinek still hunting, kind of studying the situation in front, maybe looking for opportunities. We know that driving up the inside to the next hairpin here, diving to the right works, but she is way too far back to pull that off, at least this lap.
Yeah, I think, so we see a small mistake there from Michelle Lynn. I think Tamara just has to keep the pressure on and make sure that she's not looking too much at the car in front of her. You want to make sure that your eyes are hitting similar reference points as if you were lapping by yourself, even when you're only a couple feet off the bumper at this other car going over 100 miles an hour. Easier said than done, obviously, but that's kind of the name of the game. You got to get close enough to be able to pop and make a move here. And right now, Tamara's just out of reach, and Michelle's making it difficult. to launch this attack. But this is a great battle that we have here, Tom. Less than a half second in between these two.
Kristinek also has the challenge of finding a way around the most experienced racer in the field. I think I can confidently say that that's true with Michelle Lin. Real-world experience in multiple types of cars, one of the most active sim racers before this season popped up, and I think her maturity and her experience show a lot in all of her performances, but she's going to have the most experience with defending as a product of all of that time. So she looks like she's pretty much locked in at this point, putting the car in all the right spots. Kristinek is going to have to, I think, get a little bit more aggressive with either showing the nose or have a hero sector or two to try to create some overlap. Little bit of draft there at the very end of the straightaway, but not by much.
Yeah, the problem with showing the nose, though, is so Tamara showed the nose a couple times that lap, but if you look at the gap, Ginger Ayers made up about 3 to 4 tenths of a second, and when the laps are less than a minute, that's a decent chunk of time. You only need a couple of those laps, and then Ginger will be right in this.
So if she's going to try it, she's got to make... Michelle Lin will have a response to that no matter what, as they start to come into some lap traffic. A little mistake and error there for the number 9, Cynthia Clark, ends up driver's left coming off turn 4. I can't tell if there's any damage or if that's just the texture of the wrap on that car, but the car still looks like it's at speed.
The front is shiny. I think the rear is a little melted.
I agree. Yeah, a little melted looking. Here's the opportunity. Tamara Kristinek with a good exit. She's got one headlight overlapping the tail light on Michelle Lin. Does she even, though? She's going to try it up the inside into the final corner with traffic in front. This is busy, but again, goes a little bit more conservative. She's not quite ready to pull the pin and try something that aggressive yet.
Yeah, and the lapped car here is creating a little bit of havoc as Tamara stays way track right to try to avoid any conflict there. But like I said, these little pokes and prods, while not getting the pass done, is just bringing Ginger Ayers back into the battle here. We see a replay with Cynthia Clark as Cynthia just kept it out of the wall. Nicely done. I saw some 11s in the dirt. I was wondering where that came from, so now we know where that came from.
Yeah, I've seen 3 or 4 cars end up just off into the dirt to the right of that corner, and if you get too greedy with how much banking there is there, you think it might stick, and if it doesn't, it really doesn't. The end of that track on the right side comes up pretty quick. If you're not paying attention, it looks like that's caught a couple drivers out. Audrey Tan working her way forward again after that spin from the very, very green flag drop. The number 27 picking up a spot over Kimberly Armand, who is continuing to run in the 10th position. Camera shot.
Yep, and it looks like Embriette Hyde has kind of caught down Melanie Wong. The last time we checked in, Embriette was 2 seconds back, and now we're just under a second at 9/10. So Embriette has pace here on Melanie, but is Embriette going to be able to do anything once she gets here? Because she will get to the back of Melanie Kwong, but Melanie Kwong seems to be tricky to get by. So we'll see how this unfolds.
Embriette may be motivated by revenge. If you remember, Kwong is the one that turned her coming out of turn 1 on the very first lap. Wasn't malicious, of course, but amusing nonetheless that she's motivated to catch back up to the Hot Wheels machine. Melanie Kwong with that slight bit of damage on the left front fender, but the car is going to be quick, no problem. Working minute number 16 out of 20, so the time is waning. I think we're going to see maybe tops 4 more laps.
Sometimes a revenge drive are the fastest drives, Tom.
I couldn't agree more. Got to see the right color red is the important part.
So Ginger is less than a second back from Tamara, who's less than a half second from Michelle Lin. So the top 3 have really stacked up here, as Tamara's still trying to figure out a way to get around the seasoned veteran Michelle Lin here. As Michelle goes a little wide, does that open up the door? This is the best look Tamara's had. She looks at it, nowhere to go. Oh
no, she's going to create it. Michelle Lin ran just a little bit wide. Ginger Ayers is going to be in this battle in no time, but they had a little bit of a touch at the exit. And I thought Michelle Lin wasn't going to catch that one. She started to run a little bit wide, but caught it just at the right moment to pinch Tamara's opportunity for a run. at the last second. Now it's basically equal between the top 3 of these cars for the last 2 minutes or so.
Oh, and you're pushing
Hard.
Then I think the lap traffic is only a couple seconds in front of Michelle Lin here, so that's going to cause, if their job wasn't stressful enough, the lap traffic is going to make this way more stressful.
Fun to see simultaneously in the YouTube live chat. We've got some fans for Kim Armand. Says Kim is a dang good autocrosser, new to road racing. Love that she's participating here. Look at that car. But the battle at the front, I mean, this is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Where did Kristinek go? We lost Kristinek. She's back to third. A mistake potentially for the number 10 as we looked away. Somewhere in the turn 4 to 5 range. Ginger Ayers now inheriting the second position as we come down into turn 4. Here's how it happened. They were very, very close to each other. Kristinek getting racy, looks up the inside, ends up into the back. Wow, Michelle Lin and turns herself down to the apex. Very, very quick recovery. But when the cars all stack up at the apex there, it looks like she just got into the back, didn't quite anticipate the space she would need. Went pretty deep, trying to keep the pressure on. And yeah, just ends up accordioning.
Yeah, that's a tough one because she did make up a bunch of space on exit, but then it seemed like she was ready to leave the corner before Michelle was. Whether she was gonna stay on track or not will never be known. But yeah, that's a tough one. So now the lead of this little battle in the top 3 is it's kind of stabilized a little bit. Maybe the lap cars will kind of cause the chaos back into play for the battle for the lead here. It does seem to be happening. Ginger is getting pretty close to Michelle, but I believe this next lap is going to be the last lap, Tom.
Yeah, we're coming to the white flag here, 19.5 minutes out of 20 down. Tamara Kristinek is not going to clear all of the lap traffic before getting to the final corner. So that, I think, is going to bring this thing to a 2-horse race. And those 2 cars coming at us now, the purple of Michelle Lin and the 2-tone blue of Ginger Ayers. This is familiar. How many times are we going to do this the rest of the season? These 2 drivers going at each other. And last time, Ayers was quick enough to find a way by. She's got way less time this time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the best opportunity, though, is going to be out of this right-hander into the next hairpin. So here's the right-hander. So we'll see if Ginger can hold the speed. She uses a little bit more of the racetrack. I don't think it's going to be enough, Tom. I don't think Ginger's quite close enough into the last hairpin of this race here. And I think Michelle, pending a catastrophe into the last corner, is going to have this one.
That looked like a great exit for Michelle Lin. Very aware of the situation, drops straight to the right side of the track, breaking any opportunity for the draft, opens up for the final corner. And I agree, we're coming to the last opportunity to make any possible mistake. She does it bulletproof. Michelle Lin comes through for the win in race number 2. Ginger Ayers, after getting turned, was backwards in the first corner of this race. A heck of a charge back with a clean car, no less. Tamara Kristinek, other than that one hiccup, ran a fantastic race as well. Comes home in the 3rd position. That's your podium. Paula Wojcik, another 4th to keep her championship run alive. Sarah Brunner did a really nice job to maintain, starting from the pole, ends up in the 5th position in the number 87 with a well-executed race there. I think that was also Gwendolyn Holzer maybe coming through as lap traffic. These 3, I mean, the checkered's out, but they almost look like they're still racing. This is cool.
Sometimes you just use all of the server time. So it does look like Melanie Kwong held on to that spot from the charge from Embry Hyde. We never got to see how that one ended up. Unfortunately, we only have one camera. And Audrey Tan came in right behind there. Kimberly Armand, Cynthia Clark, Amy Husil, and Gwendolyn Holzer is going to round out the placings here in race number 2. That was fun,
see if
Tom.
Michelle, that was a lot of fun. I was going to see if Michelle gives us a couple of victory donuts here. I don't know if the GR86, can you do that in this car? It has plenty of power, right, for a donut?
Yeah, I think you got to get it going because first gear goes to like 62 miles an hour or something.
Good
so
point,
getting it started would be the hardest part, but maybe you get it started in the grass and then you carry it over to the pavement. Do you think Michelle's trying to do it right now, or?
I don't know. I was hoping. I just got my hopes up. I'm not sure.
What I would imagine that trying to do a donut in this car would look like. So it just looks like regular driving.
Yeah. couple prizes coming at us this evening. We don't know the winners yet, but the consistency champion will be gone through in this result in the results sheet. Excuse me, the smallest variance of lap time for both for either of the races. So the most consistent driver by lap time in either of those races will get a $15 iRacing credit from the league. And then, essentially, I mean, I don't really know how that's going to play out. That could be any of these drivers, really, based on who had small little incidents. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Paula Wojcik. I think she was one of the only drivers that didn't end up backwards in either race. Winner here, Michelle Lin, could be up on the block for that win for that prize as well. We also have the Heartbreak Award for whoever finished fourth in the feature race. That is for sure Paula Wojcik, which is another $15 iRacing credit. And then finally, a Samurai Spirit Award to win some one-on-one coaching with one of the Liberty Belle League coaches. Clean, disciplined, respectful driving under pressure. We're not involved in the nominating process this time, but Sarah Brunner had a great run from pole there to stay nice and clean under pressure as the faster cars came through. Looking for some interviews eventually here, as we're going to try to talk to a couple of the drivers who we just saw race, particularly both race winners, which will be Ginger Ayers and Michelle Lin. Take a quick look and see if they are present. They are. Producer Bud, are we ready to go with interviews? No, you're all good. All right, cool. So let's have a little conversation with race one's winner, Ginger Ayers. Now, Ginger, first, can you hear us?
I can.
Awesome. So I know it's frustrating for race two to have started the way it did in fantastic recovery, but talk a little bit about the dynamic with the top three being so close on pace. What ended up being the kind of ace you had in your back pocket for being able to find your way through and win race one?
I was just able to get set up and get around Michelle and kind of force a mistake on the I think it was on the big hairpin before the back straight, and I was able to get on the inside for the fast hairpin before the finish, and there's not a lot of passing zones, so once you're by, you're okay.
Definitely one of those tracks that you just kind of settle into your rhythm and race the track just as much as you race yourself. Now, one more round in the championship, and you came in late, but you've been very, very, very strong this with your fourth win of the season out of only 6 races contested. So you're leaping up the championship big time. You're tied right now with Sarah Brunner. Are you planning to be at the last round next month on the 15th?
Probably, unless I'm racing IRL.
Gotcha. That's a great answer. Well, thanks a lot for joining us. Congratulations on the win in race one, the podium in race number 2. A great drive there as well. And thanks for the entertainment. Great to hear from Ginger. And now talking to Michelle Lin, who was absolutely called her bulletproof at the end of that race. So much pressure in race number 2, but also a podium in race number 1. Michelle, can you hear us?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that though. Okay, hello. Hi. How are you?
There we go. Jumped in on you here. So just a couple of thoughts from tonight, especially looking at race number 2. You guys started at the back and it ended up being what we called kind of a tidal wave at the top. Do you even have any memory of how you ended up coming out in second by the end of that first lap, or was it all blur?
To be honest with you, like as soon as I entered turn 1, it was like pure chaos and survival, and I have no idea what happened. I just know that I didn't die, and so that was like, all right, cool. Now I can concentrate. And then I worked on my setup for a lot, and it feels really good. And then I realized that about 10 minutes into the race, my tires were cooked, and I could not keep my pace up to save my life. But that was a crazy race, but a really good race. Ginger was coming for me.
A lot of fun to watch, and yeah, she ran you down after a little most of the race, so it took her a while, and then you're just unflappable with the pressure. DJ, any questions?
Yeah, I like how Michelle was saying that she blanked out into the race start of race 2, and then I'm not sure if you're watching the stream, Michelle, but
I'm not, sorry.
Yeah, the producer put the race start up. Yeah, great replay of
Hey, Josh.
The start there. And what was your what were you thinking when Tamara was behind you for most of that race until you
Okay,
guys-
so in the second race with Tamara behind me, when she got close, I started driving like really defensively. Because I knew that she wanted to go for it, and I didn't want to let her by, then have to try to pass her later. Like, I would say that at other tracks, I'm totally fine letting someone by and, you know, then just repassing them. But it's too difficult to pass at this track. So I would say like the last, God, 5-6 laps of the race, I was driving pretty defensively. You know, tightening my line, not leaving any room, and just trying not to give her an opportunity. But also trying not to, you know, be too aggressive with it. At least I hope I wasn't.
No, it looked great. It was a lot of fun to watch. Thanks for the entertainment. We hope to see you in a month's time on the 15th for the final round, or maybe even next weekend for the Buddy Cup.
I'll be there. I'll be doing the Buddy Cup with Jason Green,
Awesome.
my buddy. So it'll be fun.
Very cool. Well, congratulations on the win and the podium tonight. Thanks for talking with us, and we'll chat with you next week probably.
All right. Thanks so much, guys.
And that is going to do it for round 5 of 6 for the Liberty Belle League. DJ, how are we feeling as this season is coming to a close? The first ever. One more round to go at Olton Park in a month. But I mean, this has just been a blast.
This might be the only league I've ever seen that gains numbers as the season goes on.
It's a great point. All right. So we have, again, a reminder, the Buddy Cup coming up next week, as well as a handful of other shows, as we have every week here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. There's a look at all the different series coming up, mostly across this week through February 24th or so. But for the Liberty Belle League, for DJ Alessandrini, for Slow Motion Broadcasting and the Liberty Belle League, thank you so much for joining us, for watching, and congratulations to all the drivers for tonight. Again, DJ Alessandrini to my side. I'm Tom O'Gorman. Thanks for watching.